Tiffany, Truscott here on BBC Radio Cornwall. It's 3:30 on Wednesday afternoon, and a Cornish town is now the base for a Ghanaian charity which provides schooling for children. The managing director of the Sabre Trust, Dominic, has just returned from Ghana to set up home in Loswithiel and is with me now. Afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Tiffany.
So take us back to how you became involved. You just moved to Cornwall, but how you became involved with working for charities in Ghana.
Yeah. Well, Sabre has been working in Ghana now for more than 10 years, and it goes back to a journey across the Sahara that was made by my co-founder, Aubrey, and he drove for the adventure down to Ghana and drove in an old Land Rover and actually discovered that he needed to rebuild the engine when he got down there, so spent a little longer in Ghana than he planned. And by the time he left, he'd got to know a community very well and promised to build them a school.
As you do, as you're rebuilding an engine. So then, is that where you come in?
So yeah, I came in. I was sharing a flat with Aubrey while studying at university, and he and I had lots of chats about how on earth are you going to keep this promise, how are you going to fulfil it. So we dreamt up the idea of Sabre Charitable Trust and started raising money to build that first school.
I mean, because talk about, a lot of people maybe think about providing some books and materials for reading and writing. You're going straight in with a building. That's quite daunting when I suppose you don't really know where to start. But how do you start that?
Well, we certainly learnt a lot of lessons along the way. We recognised through getting to know the community and several other communities that where the help was needed most was for the youngest children, the 4 and 5 year olds who were just starting out at school, and typically they would have the worst facilities if they had a building or they'd be doing their lessons under trees. So having recognised that was where there was a need, we started looking at what kind of schools get built and saw that actually these schools weren't any good for learning. They weren't built with children in mind. So we saw an opportunity to do something very different and build a new style of school.
So what you needed was the money, the funding for it. How did you go about starting to raise money for that?
Initially, and because it was such a small scale, it was reaching out to friends, family, and then come a few years in, once we'd started to build momentum and had a bit of a track record behind us, we managed to get a company to partner with us. Their staff voted for us as their charity of the year, and this was a construction company.
That's incredibly lucky, isn't it?
It was just a chance introduction from a parent, and she liked what we did, and then we put some material together, and it obviously captured people's imagination. I think they saw an opportunity to do something that would use their skills, their technical expertise, and really make a difference to something very concrete.
And the building has been completed, hasn't it, as well?
We're now actually building our fourth of this new style of school. So these we call them the Sustainable Kindergarten Complex. And
yes, tell us a little about, because I was reading a little bit about these buildings. They look quite like the kind of green buildings we would have over here, don't they? But what you use is a lot of materials from Ghana that actually may be just thrown away, but they're great use in the building process, aren't they?
Absolutely. One of the challenges that we set for ourselves and Arup, which is the engineering company we've been working with now for the last 5 years on this, was to build not only a school that would be good for learning and good for children, but would be sustainable in terms of its environment. So we wanted to change perceptions to things like bamboo, which grows incredibly quickly and is available everywhere locally, using soil blocks instead of cement blocks, using coconut fibre, the husk of a coconut broken down and used as an insulation material. And just show people that these materials, very cheap materials, can be used in a really modern way and can build some very stunning classrooms.
So it must be a fascinating process as well for you to learn all about that. But what about the children using them? What are they like in their new surroundings? Yeah,
well, it's had such an impact on the children. These, as I said, we're talking about 4 and 5 year olds, and they were crammed either into very small spaces or they were literally learning in the shade of trees. So the new classrooms are amazing for them. We can really have the space to allow them to learn through play, do lots of activities, which is exactly where the government of Ghana sees this early years education going. So they love the schools. They really have a strong impact, and also not only the schools are very attractive to look at, but it's their parents in the community that have helped to build them. So we employ local carpenters, local masons, we give them training. So their parents have built the schools, so they make sure that their kids are going, which is really helpful in terms of attendance and getting kids into school.
So it's what you call a real community effort, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And I think the schools, they've got their own sort of special drinking water system, everything like that. It's been thought of, hasn't it?
Yes, I mean they're designed to be built in communities which are rural, they're remote, so you can't guarantee that there's going to be mains water. There's no need for electricity. The schools are very well lit, and the roof has been designed so that it captures lots of rainwater. Ghana's near the equator, so it rains an awful lot. Those short, sharp downfalls then get captured in a rainwater harvesting system that can be used for hand washing. It can be used for drinking. So there's that added benefit for the children.
So as you say, you're in the process of looking at number 4 now for this. But what was it like when the first one was built and the children were in there for you? Because I suppose that's like your dream has been realised then, hadn't it?
Oh, it was an unforgettable day. It really was. We learned a lot through the process of the first school, and to see it built and to see it up. And then full of kids on the first day. Word got out that the new school was open, and we had an influx of kids. So not only the attendance shot up from one day to the next, the number of children that were going to school, but we had a load of children start school in the middle of the year, which is really unusual in Ghana. Everybody normally starts school in September, but parents saw the new facilities and thought, I want my child in that school.
So they pushed them into school. Really.
Exactly, yeah.
And has it been great for you to go back and see what a difference it's been making to them?
Yeah, every time I go, the satisfaction is really touching for me. It's not only for us about building fantastic schools, but also we're starting to work now with training kindergarten teachers. And I think one of the really satisfying things that I've seen in the last couple of visits I've made is those two elements of our Brighter Futures programme coming together. Fantastic school designs that give kids a really good learning environment, but then confident teachers who understand how a 4-year-old should be learning. And they're the ones that are really going to make this successful. They're the ones that are going to bring through a new generation of young Ghanaians.
Because as you say, that's almost as you're saying, the school's only as good as the people that are teaching the children in it as well. So you want to make sure everything is just right for them. Absolutely.
And I think for anyone looking at education somewhere like Ghana, one of the biggest challenges you'll ever see is how to train teachers. Somewhere like Ghana, we've got, of every 10 kindergarten teachers, only 3 have ever had any formal training. So there's a huge number of teachers out there. 70% of teachers have not had training. We're working to address that now, to give those teachers the skills and the confidence, not just to use the fantastic schools that we're helping to build, but any kind of school. You get a good teacher, even in a classroom under trees, they can do so much more for the children.
And what made you decide after the first one had been built that you had to carry on then?
Oh, well, it was just recognising that we had something. We knew that the school was going to be fantastic when it was inaugurated and when it started getting used. But then we started capturing the attention of others. The Ghana Education Service is really supportive, and they're a key partner for everything we do. But we had the likes of UNICEF, the UK's Department for International Development, coming along saying, these are the best classrooms, these are the best schools in Ghana. So, that kind of recognition makes you realise, yes, this is something worth pursuing, and we can really make a big difference.
And that's something you're doing full time now, isn't it? You're raising money for
exactly that. Yes. So initially it was a hobby. It was evenings and weekends for myself and Aubrey, and then we recognised this was something that we could build on. So we've both been doing it full time for the last 5 years. I had the opportunity to go and spend some time in Ghana last year, and Aubrey has just moved back to the UK with his family. So for us now, the focus, the real focus this end has to be raising the money to enable us to build more schools, train more teachers, and really reach out to improve the prospects for thousands of children.
So what you like now is kind of the name Sabre Trust to be kind of well known within Cornwall and further afield as well.
Absolutely. What we would love is to become known as one of Cornwall's local international charities. We do a lot of fundraising activity that involves applying for grants and going through trusts and foundations and trying to get money out of some very good corporate partners that we work with. But I think nothing can beat getting people to identify with what you do, getting local schools interested in how children start their education in Ghana, how different it is, the kind of opportunities that 4-year-olds starting school in Ghana have to 4-year-olds starting school in the UK. So what we're really keen to do is get our message out there, get people knowing and interested in what we're doing, these very innovative schools that we're building, the way that we're training teachers, and hopefully they'll see something in that and see that it's for the long term, it's got a future goal, and want to come behind us and help support us.
Of course, people in Cornwall are well known for their generosity as well when it comes to helping fundraise. What can people do if they'd like to find out more and maybe help you with your fundraising efforts?
Well, we would be very interested in hearing directly from anybody who'd like to get involved in helping us. We're a small organisation, it's a comparatively tiny fundraising team, myself and 2 others working here at this end in the UK. So, the more volunteers that we can get to help us with collections, help us reach out to community groups and schools, we'd love to hear from them. So they can get in touch via the website, which is www.sabretrust.org. They can look us up on Facebook for some more information about what we do, or they can just email us directly. The email address is trust@sabretrust.org.
And are you able to spend a little bit of time getting to know Cornwall as well, since you just recently moved here, as well as continuing with your work?
Yes, we are. I've got a young family of my own. I've actually got a 4-year-old who starts school in Lostwithiel in September. So, for us, being down here and learning about Cornwall and really getting to know what is an absolutely beautiful part of the country, is really exciting. And already we're feeling very much at home, which is really nice.
Well, lovely to meet you this afternoon, and do keep in touch with how things are progressing. As you said, number 4 is being built at the moment, the school, isn't it?
Yes.
So it's you're going to carry on as much as you can with that.
Yeah, we'd love to let you know what we're doing, and September is a key time for us because that's when the new term starts in Ghana. So there'll be thousands of 4-year-olds starting school for the first time, hopefully starting with much better prospects than they had previously because their teachers are ready to help them learn.
Well, it's great to meet you this afternoon. Thanks for coming in.
Tiffany, thank you.
Thank you. That is Dominic Bond, who's the Managing Director of Sabre Trust. www.sabretrust.org if you'd like more information about that Cornish-based charity.